Story 1. I had just finished a visit to some friends in Austin and was heading back home to Louisiana, which takes nearly a full day of driving. On my last day there, an old buddy named Tom responded to one of my Instagram stories. We hadn't spoken in years, but he told me he lived about an hour outside of Austin, coincidentally, in the direction I'd be heading. He suggested we catch up, and since we hadn't seen each other in so long, I agreed to stop by. The drive to his house took around an hour and a half. We had been good friends in high school, but like most people, we drifted apart after graduation. We still followed each other on social media, but never really stayed in contact. When I pulled up to his place, it looked a bit old, not run down, but clearly aged. As I stepped onto the wooden porch, I heard the boards creak beneath me. He opened the door, greeted me with a big hug, and invited me in. Something about him was warm, like no time had passed. The interior of his home matched the outside. Had that old cabin feel vintage furniture, slightly faded curtains, and creaky hardwood floors. The place smelled of aged wood and something else I couldn't place. We sat down in the living room and started talking over some whiskey. It was about 5 p.m. when I got there. One glass turned into 2, then 3. I wasn't drunk, but definitely buzzed. The room felt oddly cozy, but I couldn't shake a sense of being watched. Eventually, Tom offered me to stay the night. "You've got a long drive tomorrow," he said. "No sense in heading out now," I agreed. I asked if I could just crash on the couch, but he insisted I take the guest room. "It's nothing fancy," he said, "but it's more comfortable than the couch." He was right. He showed me to a small bedroom off a short hallway. Barely took in the surroundings. I was exhausted and tipsy. The bed was simple and the room felt ... still. I passed out within minutes. Somewhere deep into the night, I woke up. My throat was dry and I needed water. I sat up, eyes adjusting to the faint moonlight slipping through the blinds. That's when I saw it. In the far corner of the room, something was hanging on the closet door. At first glance, I thought it was a black trench coat on a rack. Something about it was wrong. The shape was too rigid, too defined. Shoulders were broad, and the figure didn't sway like fabric. It looked like someone standing still, facing me. My heart rate spiked. I stared at it, trying to convince myself it was just a coat. Maybe I was too drunk earlier to notice it, but no matter how long I stared, it didn't look right. It felt like it was looking back at me. I rolled over, trying to force myself back to sleep, but I couldn't resist. I peeked again. Still there? I closed my eyes tight and willed myself to sleep. When I next woke up, it was to the sound of the floor creaking. Not loudly, just slow, subtle groans, like footsteps on old wood. Morning light now filtered into the room. I turned toward the corner. It was gone. The closet door was now slightly open. I sat up quickly, breath catching in my throat. I rushed out of the room and found Tom still asleep. I shook him awake. "There was something in the room," I said, trying to stay calm. It looked like a man in a trench coat. He sat up groggily. "What? I don't even own a trench coat." "Room's barely used." I stared at him. There was a coat, hanging but shaped like a person, and now it's gone. He looked genuinely confused. "Are you sure you didn't dream it?" "No, I was awake." I saw it, and then I heard footsteps. We checked the room together. Nothing. We searched the whole house, no sign of a break-in. No mysterious coat. I left shortly after that, as soon as the sun fully rose. I tried to play it off as a dream or maybe my drunk mind playing tricks, but deep down, I know I wasn't dreaming. Someone or something was standing in that room, watching Story 2. This happened a few years back when I was in college. I had just moved into a new apartment, nothing fancy, just a basic studio in a semi-decent neighborhood. I was a night owl, always up late studying or playing games. One night, around 2 a.m., I was sitting at my desk with my headphones on when I noticed something odd. My cat was growling. She never growled. Hissed sometimes, sure, but this was a low, angry growl. I paused my music and looked at her. She was staring at the front door. I listened. At first I didn't hear anything, then I caught it. A soft scraping sound, like metal against wood. I stood up quietly and walked over to the peephole. What I saw made my blood run cold. A man was standing right outside my door. Not just standing, he was crouched, trying to stick something into the lock. A knife. I froze. My brain screamed at me to do something. Call the cops. Make noise. Anything. But I couldn't move. He kept fiddling with the lock, completely unaware. I was just a few feet away. My heart pounded in my ears. Finally, I backed away slowly and grabbed my phone. I called 911, whispered everything. The operator told me to stay calm and stay hidden. Officers were nearby. I went into the bathroom and locked the door, still holding the phone with shaking hands. Minutes passed like hours. I heard footsteps, fast ones, and loud banging on my door. Police, open up. I rushed out and opened the door. The man was gone, but they found deep scratches on the lock and marks on the doorframe. He'd been trying hard to get in. I moved. Out 2 weeks later, to this day, I still wonder what would have happened if my cat hadn't growled or if I'd had my volume turned all the way up. Story 3, back when I was 19, I took a solo camping trip in a nearby forest reserve. I wanted to disconnect for a bit. No phone, no social media, just me and nature. I set up camp beside a quiet stream, pitched my tent, and got a small fire going. The first day was peaceful. Birds chirping, wind rustling through the trees. It was perfect. That night, as I lay in my tent, I heard it. Twigs snapping. I sat up. It was faint, far off. Probably an animal, I told myself. I wasn't scared, but then it got closer. Slow, deliberate steps, crunching leaves, snapping sticks. I turned off my lantern and held my breath. The footsteps stopped right outside my tent. Whoever it was. Stood there. I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. After what felt like forever, I heard a whisper. You're not alone. Then silence. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat in the tent, clutching a knife, waiting for morning. When the sun finally rose, I stepped outside. No tracks, and no sign anyone had been there. But I know what I heard. I packed up and left within the hour. I haven't camped alone since.